Hi, I'm Atomicus from OWKings.com, and today I'll talk about Pharah on Temple of Anubis. Anything from team compositions to different engagement angles and whatnot. As of yet, Pharah works against certain compositions, primarily ones that don't have that many hitscan heroes such as McCree, Widowmaker, and Soldier 76. Before we continue, make sure you check out the main guide for Pharah, since I'll skip the basic stuff about her in this video. Temple of Anubis can be a good map for Pharah if played properly, with a team composition that can support Pharah. This map has plenty of cover to use, but suffers from a lot of choke points that can shut you down easily if you're not working together as a team throughout the match. So I'm going to start off by covering the attack side for this map. There are currently two compositions that can work with Pharah for this map. A dive comp such as Winston, Genji, Zarya, Ana, and Lucio, potentially even Mercy instead of Ana, so that the Pharah can punch out even more damage when she flanks. With this, if you manage to snowball by capping the first point in 1 or 2 pushes, you will be able to capture the last point with ease as well. This comp works well when the enemy team is scattered, and this is common on this map since there's usually Widowmaker and Ana that sit in the far back on the high ground near the point. You can just dive on the point and try to pick off any team players that are away from the main group before they can react and regroup on the point to contest it. The other comp is pretty much a standard comp that involves Reinhardt, Zarya, Ana, Lucio, and Soldier or Genji. Basically with this, Pharah will need to flank on her own if the Genji is not part of the comp, while the main group from your team is slowly pushing and keeping the enemy team busy. This comp is riskier for Pharah since if they have any hitscan heroes in the backline, it will usually be harder to deal with them on your own without any support. Now, that doesn't mean it's impossible, especially with the cover and flank routes that this map can provide in certain areas. I'm going to focus on what you should be doing with Pharah on your own, regardless of what comp you have, since you'll probably never have the same comp every match. Starting off, you want to scout what comp the enemy has, before you try to do anything. Using the arc here allows you to see if they have any hitscan heroes in the backline or on the main platform. If they have any people on the small high ground, you can use your concussive blast to push one of them off, and hopefully you can take out that target together with your team. If they don't really have any hitscan heroes that can contest you, then you can pretty much fly carefree without having to worry about anything, and that should allow you to get picks quite easily and secure the point in the end. If they do have some hitscan heroes, especially in the back on the high ground, then you want to flank from the left side by going through the windows and trying to pick off any of the heroes that are sitting on the high ground. If they have a Symmetra holding the left choke point, try working together with your team to push through that area to allow you to flank the enemy team. Once you're behind the enemy lines, your job is basically to disrupt their back line and distract them as your team pushes in. You can use this health pack to regain your HP if you're having trouble staying alive in this area. Ideally, you want to take care of any heroes that are sitting on the high ground near the point, but distracting them is also fine as long as your team is taking advantage of that. Eventually, this should allow you to gain control of the high ground and cap the point in the end. Moving on to the last point, this one is quite tricky for Pharah since there are so many choke points in small areas that the enemy team can deny, even the places where you can fly to. If the enemy team has a comp that allows them to take control of several high ground places, then you won't really be able to do much since you'll get denied quite easily as soon as you try to pick towards the point. I'll talk about the scenario where you are not contested that heavily. There are 3 spots that you can use for scouting or pushing. The first one is above the main entrance, though this will expose you to the enemy's fire, so you should use this just for scouting purposes. The second one is on the right side, which also leaves you exposed if they have any hitscan heroes. Lastly, there's a left choke point that leads towards the mega health pack under the small bridge. From this trench, you can technically surprise any key targets that you're going for, such as Ana and Soldier 76. This is pretty much the safest route without exposing yourself to the enemy fire too much. In terms of positioning from the enemy team, usually the Ana or Soldier 76 sits on top of this pillar, close to their spawn. If they have Diva, Genji or Winston, they will usually hang out on the pillar near the main entrance. Keep in mind these spots as you're pushing in, otherwise you might get killed easily. So basically for the last point, check what comp the enemy has and scout out where the key targets are holding, then try to take them out as your team pushes in. In terms of using your barrage on your own here, you can use the trench route and then easily surprise 1 or 2 enemies that you're looking for. When you're capping the point or fighting above the point, remember that you can use the big statue for a bit of cover from one of the enemy spawn points depending on which side you plan on using. Since there are so many choke points here, Zarya is pretty good since she usually won't have trouble getting energy, and using the Graviton here can easily secure a team kill together with your barrage, so try combining these two when possible. Alright, let's talk about defense now. Not a lot change on defense. You basically have to occasionally cover the flanking paths that you used on attack. I usually find a Widowmaker on the enemy team 95% of the time during my games on this map, so because of this, we need to position ourselves accordingly. The best spot that offers solid cover in the beginning is this spot. You can wait here for a while until you can check what comp the enemy team has. If you hear a Widowmaker shot, then depending on where her bullets are coming from, you can guess if she's on the arc or on the low ground. If she's on the low ground, you can slowly fly up to the arc and wait for her to get up there. If she won't even try getting up there, then you can take her out from above. After you took care of her, you can punish the rest of the enemy team from the high ground. You'll need to keep in mind that the Widowmaker will respawn soon and that you shouldn't be on the arc anymore when this happens, or else she'll take you out from the enemy spawn. You can just go back to the usual spot and help your team from here. You can cover pretty much every choke point that leads towards the point, and you have access to the small and mega health packs around this area. Ideally, you want Ana in your comp here since she can heal you even when you're on the arc in case they have a Genji as well that might contest the high ground from you. Basically, for the first point, try to be within range of your Ana and keep track of where their hitscan heroes are while using the high ground spots to flank around the enemy team as they push in. Mercy can also work here, but that would mean that you're the main damage income for your team, and unless you position yourself properly to take advantage of the damage buff to punish the enemy team, you won't help much in the end. Not much changes for the last point. You basically want to hold on to 2 pillars depending on what comp the enemy team has. If they don't have any heroes that can contest the high ground, then you can easily abuse the pillar next to the main entrance. From here, you can cover all 3 entrances that lead towards the point, and you can also peek to scout the enemy or hopefully take a squishy target out. Once again, ideally you want Ana to be part of your team comp since she can heal you as you're sitting on top of the pillars. If they have heroes like Diva, Winston, and Genji that are contesting you on the first pillar, you can just retreat to the other pillar, the one closer to your spawn. Sometimes you'll also have to deal with a Widowmaker, so make sure you check the enemy team comp pretty often so you don't get caught by surprise. In this case, you can just not peek and wait for the Widowmaker to come closer or for the enemy team to push in. In terms of barrage usage here, same tips apply just like on attack. Use it when the enemy team is pushing through the choke points. You can also flank behind as they push in if they can't contest the high ground at all. Temple of Anubis is definitely a worthy map for Pharah, especially with all the cover that you can use against hitscan heroes, but as always, if you feel like you're getting denied constantly by these heroes, you should probably swap your hero to someone else. Alright, this brings us to the end of another guide for Pharah. I hope that you have learned a couple of new things for her on this map, and with that in mind, I wish you a good one. Thank you for watching, and take care.